Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished faculty members, students, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would also like to compliment the student body for organizing an excellent event. I think they deserve full credit, and I'm also very honored that they invited me to be a speaker today. Well, it is generally said that ministers do not listen, but today I have listened from morning till evening. Having listened whole day, I have also earned my right to speak now. So I am also mindful that you have been here whole day. So I promise you that I will try to be as brief as possible, no matter how long it takes. I am also very grateful for a very generous introduction, and this reminds me of a story of someone like me. There was a guy who was not a good public speaker, and every time he had to accept a speaking engagement invitation, so the very thought that he would have to face the audience made him very jittery. Until that event was over, the life of people around him would be very miserable. So one day, his secretary asked him, "Sir, I know that public speaking is not your piece of cake. You put your life in hell, and you also make lives of people around you very miserable. So I just wonder, what is it that keeps you accepting all these invitations?" He said, "John, it is the pleasure of listening to the introductions." So, a very generous introduction has also given me some energy to speak before such an enlightened and educated audience like I have before me. I would also like to really compliment the motivation, the passion, and the energy that our youth has shown to participate in this event. It is really remarkable. I think almost all of you have stayed from morning till evening to listen to all the presentations. And that is a sign, a very positive sign of your concern and engagement in what's happening in Pakistan and what will happen in future in Pakistan. So we are really very proud of the spirit you have shown this day to attend this conference from start till the end. There are two approaches in life, and this is my very common example which I give to students. It's not just about looking at countries, it's about looking at anything and everything. You will always hear two voices in life. One voice will say that glass is half empty, and the other voice will say the glass is half full. Both are describing the same reality, but it makes a hell lot of a difference. How are you describing the reality? If you describe reality as glass half empty, you will only be cribbing, you will only be crying, you will only be blaming. And that goes against the laws of success which Stephen Covey gives in his 7 habits, that successful people don't blame, they take responsibility for their actions. And the second approach, that glass is half full, these are the people who innovate in life, who produce success and who accomplish something. Because it gives you positive energy. It gives you energy to do something so that you can fill the half-empty glass. Pakistan also, like any other country, has its share of successes and failures. It depends how you look at them. Do you only want to look at the ghost schools? Do you only want to look at the failures? Or do you look at the success stories? Do you look at what is working and working well and develop a commitment and momentum to put what is not working right? So if we look at Pakistan from 1947, I think glass has many stories of success as well as of failure. But the successes are by no means small that we should have any inferiority complex. In 1947, you heard a very passionate presentation from Mr. Latif, how he described that we started from nowhere. In 1947, Pakistan was the new country. We did not inherit any institutions. We did not inherit any economy. We did not inherit any resources. So this was a country which was starting from scratch. It did not have furniture in its offices. It did not have common pens in the offices to stitch or to staple the papers. So today, from there we have come a long way. A country which did not have any industry. In 1947, India at that time had a steel mill, and having a steel mill shows a certain level of industrialization. So coming from that low benchmark, we have really covered a great ground. Pakistan has become a semi-industrial economy. We can produce automobiles, we can produce tractors, we can produce cement plants, we can produce sugar plants, and we can also produce aircraft now, JF-17 Thunders. We have from very low telecom base come a long way, where we have a fiber optic backbone digital infrastructure, which is one of the most modern infrastructures in developing countries. We have 3G, 5G networks running in our country, so we have a reasonable modern telecom sector in our country, which is a success story. Similarly, in other areas, we have come a long way. But where have we failed? I think that was a question which kept coming again and again in different sessions, that why Pakistan did not become Japan or Korea or Malaysia or Singapore or India's success or Turkey's success. You know, all these are the economies which have done well. So what is it that they were able to do and we did not do? Actually, we had our 5-year plans much before South Korea started their 5-year plans. The failure was in single factor, which I think one of the speakers also alluded, lack of political stability and continuity in policies. That is the first prerequisite of development. If you look at Japan, how many of you know that out of last 60 years, one party hasn't been in power for 55 years? If you look at China, 1949, since 1949, there has been continuity and stability in their political setup. Mr. Deng Xiaoping, who was the father of modern China, was there for almost more than 17 years to give direction to his policies. South Korea, President Park, the founder of modern South Korea, the builder of new South Korea, whose daughter is now the president, was there again for close to 17 years. Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, Prime Minister for about 3 decades, 31 years. Malaysia, Dr. Mahathir, Prime Minister for 22 years. Indonesia, Mr. Suharto for about 30 years. Thailand, while they had number of political crises, but the institution of king provides permanence and stability to Thailand. Want to look at India? Both Congress and BJP had 2 tenures each, decade-long policy stability and continuity. Want to look at Turkey? Mr. Tayyip Erdogan there for about 20 years. So if you look at each and every success story, you will find that they had continuity in policies and stability. But is stability necessary and sufficient condition? No. In Egypt, we had Mr. Hosni Mubarak for 40 years, but Egypt did not change much. So stability also requires that you must have the right economic policies. If your policies are not right, that stability will not give you any result. In South Asia, Pakistan was the first country to take a new economic approach. In 1990, when the first Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif government took over, we liberalized the economy, deregulated the economy, gave private sector incentives to play active role. We opened up sectors like telecommunication and financial sector and banks. That was the most progressive economic reform agenda at that time any government was following in South Asia. But because of lack of political stability and continuity in policies, we lost the initiative. The same policies which were introduced in Pakistan in 1991 were followed by India. At that time, Mr. Manmohan Singh was their finance minister. And India followed those policies with consistency, and those policies gave dividends to India. So the failure was not having stable political structures in place which will ensure continuity of policies, because in public policy, you need at least a decade for policy to show its dividends. And if that kind of stability and stretches are not available, those policies normally are half-cooked and half-baked and do not give result. And one very simple example, I come from rural Pakistan, and anyone who has rural background can relate to. You may have best of the best seed, and if you plant it, and after planting the seed, if you keep plowing the land, that seed will never germinate. But maybe you have a very mediocre seed, you plant it and give stability to the soil, that seed will give you some fruits. So that is the importance of stability for economic policies. You may have best of the best policies, but if there is economic, political instability, uncertainty, and if there is discontinuity in policies, those policies will not give you the results. So I think that is a lesson we have learned the hard way. And it has taken us about 65 years to make sure that one government completes 5 years tenure. If we had achieved this milestone 40 or 50 years ago, maybe the history of Pakistan or our economic trajectory would be very different. So I think this is something which we have earned the hard way. And I think now people of Pakistan and different institutions in Pakistan have also realized that the only way forward is constitutional governance and democratic governance. As a result, you see that while the democratic system kind of came under serious challenges in 2014, that was a very major attack on the government and the system, but we were able to weather the storm very peacefully. Actually, one of the economists working in World Bank based in Islamabad said that if this kind of crisis had taken place in my country, there would have been maybe, if not hundreds, dozens of deaths. This could have been very ugly scene. But Alhamdulillah, we were able to weather that storm very peacefully and we came out of it. Why? Because no opposition party wanted to derail the democratic system. And above all, a common man was not in favor of derailing democracy. So therefore, we survived that crisis. And again, as you saw, that on 2nd November, while people were very concerned that what will happen in Pakistan, not much happened, because people have now internalized this idea that our country deserves and needs stability of 5-year tenures If governments are good, they will be re-elected. If governments are not done well, they will be thrown out by ballot and ballot alone. I think that is now a great milestone in Pakistani politics. So as we discuss the future of Pakistan, I would say that we have to also look at the environment and the context. You all know better than me that how every paradigm has changed. In our age, when we were growing up, if I had a problem, I called my dad to tell me how to do it. Dad, can you help me? How to fix it? Today, when I am stuck with my computer and with my phone, I need to call my kids. They teach their dads how to fix the problems. So this is a new age where all the previous rules have changed. This is today a time which is known as knowledge revolution age. The world economy has moved out of the industrial economy. Knowledge has assumed a central role in the progress and the development of societies. And that is what gives universities a unique position in now the new development course. In Pakistan, I call our vice chancellors as the core commanders of development and future prosperity. It is the battles for future are not today being fought in the battlefields. They are today being fought in the classrooms and in the laboratories. Who has better quality of instruction in classroom and who has more innovation in laboratories will decide the future of that nation and future of that country. So therefore, this is a new knowledge revolution age where all the paradigms of the past have become redundant. This is a new globalization age where globalization and identity politics are now intermingling to create new opportunities and new challenges. Look what has happened in UK. Its breakaway from European Union. The election of Mr. Trump in the United States. So there are, these new elements which are coming into the old globalization debate, that how the issues of identity are also of different groups becoming important in this whole globalization thing. This is also an age of regionalization, where different countries and regions are coming together to create larger, bigger home markets so that they can be competitive in the global economy. Because countries on standalone basis probably find themselves too vulnerable to face the very fierce Darwinian competitive forces of economic competition. This is also an age where innovation is the new driver of progress. The explosion of knowledge makes what we have today obsolete tomorrow. The biggest example is BlackBerry, which was the icon of smartphones. But within a matter of 2 years, it diminished, just like dinosaurs at one time were the dominant species. But when the punctuated equilibrium happened, they diminished. So this is an age of punctuated equilibrium every day, where innovation is redefining the economic landscape for countries. So a country which is not an innovation factory cannot survive. So universities have to be the hub of innovation so that economies can move forward. Similarly, demographics are going to be a major challenge for the world. There are countries in the world where demographics have totally gone grey, and there are countries where demographics are totally very young. 90% of less than 15 years old live in the developing world. Pakistan, South Asia and other Asian developing countries and African countries happen to be among those countries where bulk of the youth population today lives. Each young person has a belly which this person will require to feed. Each young person will require shelter. Each young person will require a good life. So there is a great demand for these services in these countries where there are no resources. But the ambitions have become global thanks to the information revolution. Today, a young person living in a goat or in a village is watching the lifestyle of Turkey through Turkish dramas, or is watching CNN and BBC and is knowing what is happening in different parts of the world, is much more aware, is much more demanding. So there is now this inherent tension within these countries where people have a demand for better quality of life to which they were not previously introduced. So governments are coming under tremendous pressure. Then there is this is a world where we have a serious challenge of climate change. Pakistan only contributes 0.8% of the global green gas emissions. Greenhouse effect to our emissions is only 0.8% contribution. But we are among the top 5 most vulnerable countries to climate change. We need to redo our infrastructure to face the challenge of floods, climate change in the rains. We need to have new agricultural varieties which will withstand all these challenges. So these are some of the big challenges which we all face, and we have to respond if we have to move forward. That is why in 2013, when we came into government, the first task we undertook was to develop a roadmap for Pakistan. How is Pakistan going to fix not only its today's problems, but how are we going to look at these bigger challenges which are happening around us and become relevant? Jack Welch, the former CEO of General Electric, said that if the pace of change outside is faster than the pace of change inside, then end is near. So we have to also change ourselves. We also have to restructure our social, political, economic structures so that we are relevant to the external challenges. And that is why we undertook the initiative of developing Pakistan Vision 2025. And what this Vision 2025 does is that it aspires to give us a platform which will take us through the 21st century. Right now, we do not even have a balanced platform through which we can claim that we are ready for the development game. Our socio-economic platform is very fractured, and that is true for the entire South Asia. If you look at our economic indicators, they sort of look very respectable with $1,300, $1,400 per capita income. We sort of come close to semi-middle income countries. But if you look at the social indicators of South Asia, and Pakistan in particular, when it comes to education, when it comes to health, when it comes to infant mortality, so that we have that platform from which we will move forward. So this is what Vision 2025 seeks to address over the next 10 years. Now, many of these problems which we have heard cannot be fixed in 1 year or 2 years term. They require a sustained effort over at least a decade to be fixed, because these social problems and economic problems are not IT problems that you reboot and you reset your machine and it is a new start. They follow a law of nature and they take sustained effort. They require sustained effort. But you have to make the beginning. So that is where in 2013, when we started, we worked and we tried to focus on the 4 areas which are critical for our future. in 2013, we won the election on a manifesto which focused on 4 E's. The first was economy, because we believe in today's age and in today's world, economy defines solutions to all problems. The first leader to recognize this reality in 20th century was Deng Xiaoping. 20th century was century of political ideologies. 21st century is a century of economic ideologies. And when I say economic ideologies, it means that who has best answers to 3 questions. That how will you create wealth, how will you distribute wealth, and how sustainable will be your wealth creation. So who has the best answers will be successful. So Mr. Deng Xiaoping, who came in a very strong communist tradition of central government, said, as long as the cat catches the mice, it does not matter whether it is black or white. So we have to be concerned about producing prosperity for our country and for our people. And that is what gave China success, and Soviet Union got needed. So the first E was economy. The second E was energy. In 2013, we were facing shortages of 18 to 20 hours. In country, it was daily routine to witness protests of unemployed workers who were out of job because for last 6 months their factories were not getting electricity supplies, and these laid off unemployed workers were burning the electricity offices. And it was said that there will be civil war in Pakistan on electricity. The third E, so second E was energy. The third E was extremism, because the clouds of extremism had also put Pakistan through terrible trajectory. We lost almost 70,000 people who fell victim to terrorism in these years. And Pakistan was considered by Newsweek, which published a title story, and I'll share with you a little in a while, that it is the most dangerous country in the world. They said the most dangerous country in the world is not Iraq, it is Pakistan. So that was the brand image of Pakistan because of the extremism situation in Pakistan. So that was the third E. And the fourth E was education, because we were mindful that there is a knowledge age, or we seek to create a knowledge economy, we must invest in education. So these 4 E's became the cornerstone of our government's interventions and priorities. And today, I'm happy to share with you that on all 4 counts, Pakistan has made tremendous progress. When you look at economy, in 2013, our foreign reserves were down to $8 billion. And today, they are at the highest levels in the history of the country at $24 billion, 3 times increase in Pakistan's reserves. In 2013, Pakistan Stock Exchange had collapsed, was virtually at 19,000 index. KSI, Karachi Stock Exchange, KSE index was about 19,000 points. Today, Karachi Stock Exchange has broken all the records and is at 40,000 plus index. And it is regarded amongst the top 3 stock exchanges in Asia. In 2013, Pakistan was running almost double-digit inflation for last several years. Today, Pakistan has one of the lowest inflation in its history. In 2013, Pakistan for consecutive 4-5 years was stuck in 2.5% to 3% GDP growth rate. Last year, we posted 4.8% growth rate, which is highest in last 8 years. So the economy is on a positive trajectory. Coming to energy, Pakistan, which faced 18 to 20 hours of power shortages, today has been able to reduce it to 6 to 8 hours on average in the peak days of demand. Today in Pakistan, we are having the biggest ever investment in energy to finish electricity shortages by 2018. And just to give you a comparison as to what is this investment which is taking place. From 1947 till 2013, our total power production capability was 16,000 to 17,000 megawatts. Keep this in mind. 16 to 17,000 in almost 65 years. In 3 years, we are going to be adding close to 11,000 megawatts by 2018. This is not a small feat. This includes all hydro source, coal source, renewable energy, gas, solar, wind. And we will have a portfolio which will be based on cheaper modes of power generation, so that electricity is not only there but is also affordable for people. So the second E is also on a positive trajectory. The third E, extremism. In 2013, Pakistan virtually had become hostage to the acts of terrorism by these extremist groups. There were almost over 4,000 incidents of terrorism or terrorism-related activities in a year. So in 2013, extremists were on offensive and state looked like under siege. Today, after 3 years, the state is on offensive and these extremist groups are on the run and they are under siege. There is a 180-degree change. We have today broken the back of all these extremist groups and we are cleaning our country from wherever their hideouts are. So there is a remarkable improvement in the security situation in the country. 3 years ago, if you went to Karachi, anyone who had the option of relocation will tell you that, oh, I'm going to Dubai, I'm going to Canada, or I'm shifting to Lahore. Nobody wanted to live in Karachi because Karachi had become so insecure. Today, if you go to Karachi, you will not hear a single voice that I am leaving Karachi. People are rediscovering their confidence in Karachi, which is the financial capital of Pakistan, and Karachi is again becoming peaceful. So, as I said, in 2013, Newsweek put us as the most dangerous country in the world. Today, the same international media, whether it is Economist, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, it is Bloomberg, or whichever leading international media, what are they calling Pakistan? The next emerging economy of Asia. Let me ask you a question. If a country that is labeled as the most dangerous country only 3 years ago is today being labeled as an emerging economy, what do you call it? Is it not a change? Is it a change or not a change?
It is a change.
Big change. तो तब्दीली तो आ रही है ना. Coming to the fourth E, education. 2010 till 2013, the budget of Higher Education Commission in Pakistan, and mind you, why Higher Education Commission? Because after the 18th Amendment, federal government is only left with higher education. So 2010 till 2013, the budget of higher education was about 100 billion rupees. From 2013 to 2016, it has increased to 215 billion rupees. More than 100%. We have started such innovative programs in education and knowledge sector, which inshallah will change the future of our country. In the past, we were one of the strongest allies of United States. In best of the best days, when we were the strategic partners of United States, the vision of our dictators during whose period we became very close with United States, they thought that the height of their friendship will be if they are able to get 2 extra F-16s from the United States. So the vision of our partnership with the United States was how much weapons can we get from United States arsenal. That will define how close we are. But I think that was a very myopic thinking or an approach. We have today started a new initiative. When Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif visited United States, he signed an agreement to initiate US-Pakistan Knowledge Corridor, which will enable us to educate 10,000 PhDs in top 200 universities of United States in the next 10 years. And it is through these 10,000 PhDs that we are going to lay foundation of a new knowledge economy in Pakistan. And let me also share with you that in 1998, when we were in government under Vision 2010, which could not actually continue because of the Musharraf coup, it was our government which had started the first version of reform in higher education, and we had launched a project to develop 5,000 PhDs over the next 5 to 7 years, and funded this project with 5 billion rupees in 1999. And it is because of that intervention that the number of PhDs in Pakistan, which were only 350 in science and technology in 98-99, has today increased to 7,500 in the country. So now we are actually taking this to the second level and the second generation of reform. Similarly, we have undertaken a project to set up a university campus in each and every district of Pakistan. Why? Because higher education is a fundamental right of every young Pakistani boy and girl who has a dream to pursue higher education, no matter where he or she resides. By ignoring or by depriving the backward areas of higher education institutions, we deny thousands of our very talented youth the opportunity to realize their dreams. So government is now setting up these universities, and Dr. Umar Saif said that how are we going to provide faculty, and this is how, through US-Pakistan Knowledge Corridor and through other partnerships with our friendly countries, which include European Union countries, it includes UK, it includes Turkey, it includes China. We are also working on another 10,000 PhDs to work, complete their studies in the next 10 years. And this about pool of 20,000 PhDs which we will develop, they will provide us the faculty and they will provide us the human resource for expansion of our higher education system. We have started a program to develop links of universities with industry through Technology Innovation Fund. One of the key weaknesses of our education system was lack of knowledge and production platform alignment. There was no alignment or no link between our academics and the industry. As a result, we had islands of knowledge, but we also had islands of production. but they were not linked, and our economy was not based on good quality research or innovation through the fusion of production and knowledge. So this Technology Innovation Fund is a research grant program for our faculty members, for our researchers in universities. If they have ideas which have applications in industry, which have economic value, the government is providing them research grants so that we can begin to leverage our knowledge capital into our production system, and we have more innovation for our economy. Finally, because of the reform in education system, because 18th Amendment has given school education to provinces, federal government thought, while previous government's approach was that what has been devolved is none of our business. Let the provinces do what they want to do, and it's their business, and we should be out of it. But our approach was that no, we cannot compromise, because the basic education defines the higher education, and basic education also defines our national standards. So we have to work in partnership with the provinces. So we have started 3 projects in partnership with the provinces. The first project is to review and revise the entire national curriculum through National Curriculum Council, which includes representatives of all the provinces. And through this National Curriculum Council, we are reviewing the curriculum from class 1 to colleges. And the old memorization or rote learning method will be replaced by critical thinking, creativity, and innovation, team learning based approach. And this will be the new curriculum for the country that will allow every child to develop skills which are relevant for the new knowledge or innovation based economy. And again, I would say that it is very unfortunate. Again, somebody was saying that why did we go into this old memorization learning? Because we did not learn from our history. Mr. Latif was just mentioning that, if you look at the 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th century, if there were Nobel Prizes then, maybe 80 to 90% of the Nobel Prizes would have been taken by the Muslim scientists of that time. Why were they so good? Because they drew their inspiration from the model which has been described in Quran, where Allah has given us an approach of learning. Allah has never commanded that I am your Lord and accept me as my Lord. And the description is like this. Don't you look at the vapors forming cloud. Don't you look at the clouds, how they turn into rain. Don't you look at the dry, barren land turning green. Don't you look at the fodder going into the belly of cow and turning into milk. Don't you look at the stars and the movement of stars and day and night. And then it says, these are signs for those who observe and those who have aql, those who have mind. And that is inquiry and reflection, tafakkur and tadabbur. So the critical thinking starts from questioning. If the education system is not prompting students to question, not prompting them to observe, not prompting them to inquire and to reflect, they can never be creative. So that is the paradigm shift we need to bring in our education system, and that is what we are trying to do through this National Curriculum Council. Second, equally important intervention is, we have started a reform of the examination boards of intermediate and secondary education. Because if you have the new curriculum, but you are not testing the students in the new curriculum the way it ought to be tested, so that you see whether they are developing the right skills or not, and if your examination system, as they say, what gets asked gets done, and what does not get asked does not get done. So examination system, if it is not testing the students on the new dimensions of learning, that will never be picked up by the students. So that requires a reform of the examination system. Now that is not easy. There are 28 examination boards in the country from Karachi to Peshawar, and they fall within the domain of the provinces. So So we are trying through Council of Common Interest and partnership of the provinces that we bring all these examination boards to same level. If University of Cambridge can conduct exams all over the world with same level of standard, why cannot we develop national standards where our board examination boards can do the same testing? So that is the second intervention on which we are working. But it is a complex challenge because of the provincial issues, provincial domains and 28 boards, but federal government is facilitating this initiative to bring all the boards and the provinces together to restructure the examination system. The third reform that we have spearheaded with the provinces is teaching training programs reform. Because again, you have a new curriculum, new examination system, but if teachers are not trained to teach that curriculum in the right way, it will not work. So we are also reviewing the teacher training programs, and in Islamabad setting up state-of-the-art teacher training center, which we hope will be completed in the next 2 years, and it will be inshallah best in Asia for its quality and for its capacity. And this will set up new benchmarks for our provincial teacher training programs. So these initiatives are, time consuming. You will not see the results next year or the following year, but we have to keep the initiative on a sustained process, in a sustained manner. So I hope that, with these interventions which we are making under Vision 2025, Pakistan will inshallah follow a chart or a path which will take our growth rate to 6 to 7%. Pakistan will also benefit greatly from what we have in the China-Pakistan economic corridor, which I'll just 2 or 3 slides I'll run with you so that you can realize and appreciate the So, I'll just share with you China-Pakistan economic corridor, some facts also, because this is something which was discussed where I was not part of the panel, but I think, it really is something which interests everyone, and because I am looking after it, I think I must give you some perspective. If you look at Pakistan, what makes CPEC very unique, Pakistan happens to be located at the intersection of 3 engines of growth in Asia. One is South Asia. This is one engine of growth in Asia. The second is China. And third is Central Asia. So Pakistan is uniquely located at the intersection of these 3 engines of growth and also close to the Middle East. So if we leverage our geo-strategic location into geo-economic advantage, there are tremendous opportunities. Pakistan can become center of trade, commerce and services for 3 billion population that resides in South Asia, China and Central Asia. So this is at the heart of China-Pakistan economic corridor. And what is driving it? You see that 21st century is the Asian century. 19th century was known as the British century, 20th was known as the American century, 21st century is likely to be the Asian century, because in this century, Asia is going to take more than 52% share of the global GDP. It is going to achieve its domination or old position which it had in history before Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution shifted the balance of power towards Europe and North America, but now with rise of China and India and other Asian economies, it is the developed links to Europe, to Asia through the old traditional Silk Route and also to Africa through maritime route. So this is the grand design of integrating Chinese economy with different regions, and this is called One Belt, One Road vision of Chinese leadership. And here is the Pakistan-China economic corridor, which comes from Kashgar up to Gwadar. So this is fusion of China's Global Initiative and our Vision 2025, which also places
regional connectivity as one of the 7 pillars to put Pakistan in a geo-economic advantage. So the Rising Asia, One Belt, One Road, Chinese vision and our regional connectivity vision 2025, so they all sync together to create the CPEC opportunity. So we signed this agreement on 5th of July 2013 in Beijing, and within 3 years we have been able to put in pipeline and on ground a portfolio of about $35 billion from $46 billion that has been promised, and I think it is a world record. Never it has happened in such a short span of time anywhere in the world. And just last week you all must have observed the news that the first convoy which came from China by road passed through the western route, and from Gwadar it was transported by ships to its destination. So it is very much now a reality. And this is how CPEC has redefined Pakistan's place in today's economy. A Wall Street Journal, making this headline. This is worth millions of dollars of ad, probably that will not do that good. What this news has done to Pakistan has changed its whole image and profile. So CPEC actually is a project of 2014 to 2030 period. So there are different phases, short term, medium term, long term. It will complete in 2030, and it essentially has 4 components. Gwadar port, its development as the gateway, energy projects, coal, hydro, wind, solar, LNG, transmission projects, and bulk of the portfolio is in energy sector. Out of 46 billion, 35 billion are in energy sector. And this 35 billion is not loan for Pakistan. This is $35 billion promised foreign direct investment. So this is coming in shape of investment in Pakistan. This is not a loan coming to Pakistan. Then there are infrastructure projects, road, rail, aviation and data connectivity, which will connect Pakistan with China. And finally, industrial cooperation, which will set up industrial parks to relocate industry from China in areas where it has become expensive for China to do production, or where China has excess production capacity. So along the corridors in all provinces, so we are in the first phase developing one industrial zone in each province. There is no discrimination. Every province will have one industrial zone to start with, and then they will begin as they will develop. There will be more as we go along. So you can see this is the roadmap for CPEC. Much to what people will say, or different voices you will hear. There is one western route which passes through Dera Ismail Khan, Quetta, and goes to Gwadar. There is one eastern route which passes from Lahore to Multan and Karachi, and then there will be a future central route also which will be developed in the long term, and west and east route will be connected at 2 points here in the south, and also there will be connections here in the north. So this network passes through all the provinces and all the regions and will benefit everyone. On the western route, this was the 650-kilometer road which was missing. It did not exist. So western route was only a concept without this 650-kilometer road which never existed. So we promised to finish it by December 16, and I'm happy to tell you that it was completed 1 month before the target in November 2016, and that is why we were able to transport this first consignment through this western route which traveled from here to Quetta, to Zob, Quetta, Zob, Quetta, Surab, Panjgur, Turbat and Gwadar. So that has, and from here it left on the ship. So this is functional. This is a new road which we are constructing to further shorten the western route, and this new section will be completed by 2018. So western route with its upgradation will be completed by 2018, while the eastern route will be ready by 2019. So those who are saying that we are prioritizing eastern route over western is again all, misinformation. So, and this again, gives you a little comparison that how $46 billion which will come through CPEC compares with how FDI has been coming into Pakistan. So it is such a big, I think, opportunity. And this is, what I was telling you. This will just remind you how things are changing. This is the Pakistan of 2013. Look what was Newsweek telling you. The most dangerous nation in the world isn't Iraq, it's Pakistan. So this is Pakistan of 2013. This is Pakistan of 2013, and this is Pakistan of 2013. This is Forbes. How many of you know Forbes magazine? So what did Forbes say on May 2013? The Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the world's most dangerous nation, holds an election. So what is Forbes telling you on 4th August 2015? Pakistan, the next Columbia success story. So tabdeeli hai ki nahi hai? This is Reuters. Reuters on September 12, 2013 is saying, IMF says Pakistan at high risk of economic crisis. Actually, they were saying that Pakistan is on a high risk of default. And what is IMF saying on April 22, 2016? Pakistan ready to go it alone when program ends. That Pakistan is now on its feet. Tabdeeli to hai na? Pakistan assumes new identity in 1516. Moody's raises Pakistan's outlook as economy improves under Sharif. Pakistan's political landscape is more stable than that a few years ago, Standards and Poor's, S&P. The new outlook is based on a strengthening external liquidity position, continued efforts towards fiscal consolidation, and the government's steady progress in achieving structural reforms under IMF program Moody's. Pakistan and China launch economic corridor plan 146. So all that is giving Pakistan the new face. And this is what we need to believe, that we must believe in Pakistan is rising. And we must shun the voices that will tell you that Pakistan is Satyanas and Bedagar. Pakistan is neither Satyanas nor Bedagar. As I told you, on all the 4 E's, alhamdulillah, Pakistan is improving. And now it is for us to create that momentum that Pakistan will achieve what we have set for itself, for its future and for ourselves, that we ought to be in the top 25 economies by 2025. And this is where you are very important, because you are our most valuable assets. When you graduate, you will make this dream come true, and for that to happen, we all have to pledge that we will work harder, we will work better, and we will work smarter. We need to work harder, because working harder we can produce productivity. We will work better, because working better gives you better quality. And we will work smarter, because working smarter gives us innovation. These are the 3 drivers of competitiveness: productivity, quality, and innovation. So I'm very sure that inshallah there is a great opportunity which Allah has given us. Anatole Levin, the famous researcher from here, wrote a very interesting piece on CPEC. He said that, Pakistanis missed so many opportunities that I stopped keeping track of those opportunities. But when I read the statement of the government spokesperson that CPEC is a game changer, I could not ignore it. So what he was saying, that Pakistanis are so habitual of dropping their catches, that CPEC is one football catch which is going their way. So they cannot dare miss it. So I think this is a great opportunity, and we all are excited, and we will make it happen inshallah. But important thing for you, I would say, is that every entrepreneur who wins has 2 key traits: self-belief and positive thinking. Belief in yourself and belief in the future. If we do not believe in ourselves, if we do not believe in positive future, no good can happen to us. So be positive, believe on good things. Yes, there are problems. We don't shy away from problems. And there is no problem which Pakistan is facing, no other developing country faces. India is at 8 to 9% growth rate for last 2 decades. Yet India is also struggling to put its schools, public sector schools right. Yet India is also struggling to put its hospitals right. Yet India is also struggling to put its police stations right. Every developing country struggles in the initial phase, but as you go along the development path, your resources increase and your share of problems decrease. But there is no electric solution that you switch on and there is light. You switch off, it is all dark. Development is a progression, is a process of natural growth. Evolutionary path has to be taken, and inshallah, if we continue this sustained path, we will achieve our dreams. Thank you very much.